Hello again to Splendid Cuisine. Merry Christmas to all. Today is the 28th of December 2020. So I wish you all a very blessed new year to come. Today I'm gonna show you a Greek tradition which we make for New Year. It's called Vasilopita. It's a sweet bread flavored with aromatic flavors, which I'm gonna be talking about and showing you what they are. But I would like to tell you the tradition of that bread is cutting it on midnight on New Year's, and in it we put a coin foiled with foil paper that roams around while it's baking, so nobody knows where it ends up being. And when you cut pieces of that bread on midnight, you name every piece to a certain person in the family, and whoever gets the coin, he's gonna have a prosperous year. Let me introduce you now to the aromatics that are in the Vasilopita. We have the Mahlab or Mehlepi, and it is this kind of a berry, and those are the seeds of that berry. It's like a cherry type of tree. The berry itself is not edible, but the seed is this, and it is very flavorful, very aromatic. I suggest to buy it whole and you grind it yourself to achieve this fine grind. And I normally grind it with just regular spice grinder like this, and you achieve the result. So I have 2 tablespoons of this aromatic added into every 3 3/4 of a cup of flour. This is the second aromatic flavor that we use in the Vasilopita. It's called Mastixi in Greek or Mustaca in Arabic. They come from many places in the world. The brand I use is from the island of Chios in Greece. I find it to be lighter in color, almost translucent, and much softer and floral flavor to it. So you can buy it at the Mediterranean store. When the color tends to be more yellow, it means that it's a little bit older or it's a different from a different area. I like them when they are almost translucent and lighter in color. To grind them, it's a challenge because they are gummy, and you will need to add a little bit of sugar to break that gumminess away. The best way to do it is in mortar and pestle with a tiny bit of sugar, and just you end up with a powdered type of Mastixi, which I have here, which is with tiny bit of sugar as well, but mostly is Mastixi. So those are the aromatics that go into the Vasilopita. In addition to that, we have 3/4 of a cup of sugar. I have 2 tablespoons of yeast, and this is the instant yeast. It's dry. It can be kept well in the freezer for a long time. I have 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter at room temperature. I have 2 eggs, which are also at room temperature, and I also have 3/4 of liquid, which normally is milk, but I mix the milk with some yogurt, which I believe it keeps the Vasilopita tender and soft for much longer without drying out. All those are the ingredients that are gonna create one big Vasilopita for your New Year's. Now let me show you the method in a regular mixer in case you don't have bread machine. First, I have measured the flour over here. It's 3 2/3 of a cup of bread flour, which I added the 2 tablespoons of Mahlab, the flavors that we have talked about, and this is the Mastic, the Mastixi. It also goes in. and that is the dry ingredient. Now the sugar, although it's a dry ingredient, I'm gonna add it into the liquid. So first, what we do is we're gonna open our mixer. I'm gonna add the eggs, which are 2 eggs. I'm gonna crack them. You can always crack them in a plate just to make sure your eggs are good and no shells go inside. I'm already used to this, so I do it the way I always do it. And then I'm gonna add the sugar, which is 3/4 of a cup, and the butter. And this time I melted the butter because we want to keep the dough warm. So melted butter, we'll mix them together with this mixing batter, hook, and I have warmed up my milk as well, and I have 3/4 of a cup of liquid. It's a mix of milk and yogurt. You can use also milk only, and we're gonna add that in, and we're gonna just mix it together to get it going. To that, I'm gonna add the yeast. I have 2 tablespoons of yeast. And now that they have blended evenly, I'm gonna add my flour and the flavoring that I have inside. And now this, because the flour is gonna weigh the dough down, we will need to change this mixing to the kneading hook, and this is how the kneading hook looks. This actually is to prevent cutting the dough and just kneading it more gently and keeping it from getting attached to the hook, to the other hook. This hook, the dough can be attached all over and it doesn't go around and mix evenly. So for a dough, for heavy doughs, you will need the hook, which mixes much better since it doesn't have all those little obstacles in it. Now as it's kneading, we talked once about flour and gluten. And when you knead a dough, you are activating the gluten in the flour, which makes the dough more stretchy and more, gathered together in a way. So for any dough, when you are mixing it, it's good to mix until everything is connected together, but then let it rest for like 3, 4, 5 minutes, depending on the amount that you're making, and that will let that gluten that you have activated and you're working out, which create a tougher or more hold together dough, relax a little bit, and then when you turn the mixer back on, it can mix it even to a softer dough. And if you do that 3 or 4 times, you're gonna end up with the most fluffy, pillowy, airy dough that you can possibly get. So I gave it the break. Now I'll knead again, and I'll knead it for 2-3 more minutes, and then I'll stop and I'll knead it again. And I normally I'm pleased with 3 times, 3 rotations of this type, and then I'm gonna wrap it with saran wrap. And not the dough, the bowl, I'll put saran wrap, and then I'll cover it with something warm, and I'll let it rise slowly. This is the dough after it has been kneaded in the regular mixer. I buttered a little bit the bowl and I put it in there. I will wrap it with saran wrap and put it in a warm place, either in a warm oven or put some warming blanket on it, the electrical ones. They work awesome. And we'll keep it until it rises to double its size. So I just wanted to show you this. It's time to show you what the dough looks like after it has been raised. This one in this bowl here, this is the one that I made in the in the Kenwood, in the mixer. The shape of the bowl is a little bit different, but you can see how it doubled. It was really tiny in the bowl, and it's very stretchy and flexible and nice. And also this is the one that was made in the bread machine. It also have raised all the way to the rim, and it's also very nice and flexible and doughy. So now it's time to shape and put the coin in and then let it rest again until it rises. And at that time, I'll show you how to decorate it and bake it. So I'll take this and I'm gonna make four small loaves to my neighbors out of this. In the beginning, it looks as if it's very little amount, but this is something that doubles in size. And I just want, you know, tiny little gifts that I want to give. So I just eyeball it and separate the one big dough into four. I shape it a little bit so it's over here. I have coins, quarters, that I have wrapped in foil paper so they are clean to put in. So I'm gonna take one, and from the bottom, which is not smooth and nice, and I will just tuck one in somewhere. And this is gonna be roaming around while it's baking as the dough is moving and growing and rising. So that coin is gonna be moving around. No tell where it's gonna end up. So, and then I shape it again to a nice circle. Now this one I'm gonna be cutting into three because I want them a little bit bigger. Because the pans here, they are larger size, so I don't want them to be completely flat. And I also will put the quarters in there. I put it in and I press. I put some butter in the pan, just spread it out, and I put parchment paper at the bottom. Now in the oven, when I keep it warm, I normally don't like to warm it as with temperature, because that will dry the oven out from the inside and it's gonna make a crust over the dough when it is rising. So what I do, I just warm it a little bit, tiny, like not even 3-4 minutes with the warmer, and then I turn it off, and then I boil some water, and I put just a mug just with water that is steaming, and I put it inside after I turn the warmer off, and I put the light on, which continues to keep some warmth inside, and I let the dough just rise in that kind of atmosphere. Now we'll let this rise, and we'll come back to you when it's done. We are at the final stage of making the Vasilopita. It's already evening, as you see in the background. It takes it's a whole day commitment, but it's well worth it. Now I have the free rolled Vasilopitas already risen, and I have this one which is shaped in the baking sheet, also has risen. I want to show you what we do. It's the decorative part of it, and you can play around with this part as much as you wish, because you can just put whatever you feel like as decoration. So first of all though, I have an egg over here that I mixed a little bit with a little bit brandy to cut off the egginess, and with a pastry brush I will brush the loaves to give them shine, and also to create like a glue for the things that I'm gonna be decorating these loaves with. Normally, traditionally, in my household, I decorate with sesame seeds, poppy seeds, some types of nuts. It can be walnuts, it can be almonds, it can be even pistachios. So I'll show you how I decorate them and what they look like, and then we will put them in a preheated oven. The oven should be 375 degrees, and if it's bigger loaves, the temperature should be 350 degrees because they take longer to cook all the way through. But when they are smaller, you can go 375, even 400 degrees sometimes. So I will finish putting this, brushing this egg bath all over my Vasilopitas here, and I'll show you what you can do. Now, first of all, I have a little plate here that have poppy seeds, and I have a little bowl here that have sesame seeds, and I have some walnuts, and I have also a few pistachios. So I'm gonna just, you know, have fun with that. So what I do, I dip my finger in the egg and dip it in the sesame seed, and then I have a sesame finger, and with that I touch on the dough and I make a pattern. So the sesame seeds, they stick on the egg wash that I already created on top of those loaves. So I can make like a flower pattern. I go around, and then I dip another finger in the egg, and I dip it in the poppy seed, and then I can go just a tiny touch in between. And one more trick I would like to show you with the kitchen scissors. You can also, especially when they are larger, at this size, you know, they are okay like this, they will bake even, but to have them bake more evenly and have the steam from the inside the dough coming out, I take a kitchen scissors and I just snip some of the top, and I create actually even more decorative look to that. I will try to show you this when they are done, because it's easier to carry it and flip it and show you exactly what I mean by decorative look, but also helps the baking process to be more even. That's my oven calling me that it's hot enough to bake. I'll add some side walnuts here too. And we are at the finale of the Vasilopita baking. I just wanted to show you the differences between the baked ones that they were shaped in a pan, just to see the type of volume compared to the ones that are free shaped. They're both beautiful. They're both beautiful, and here you can see how the sesame seeds are toasted and they make really nice shapes and colors over the shine of the egg wash that we have done. It's just the difference is in the volume. This stays moist a lot longer because it has a lot more volume, and you know, it catches the moisture inside. It takes a little longer also to bake, and those are for eating and devouring really fast. And I think, you know, no matter which one you cut, it's gonna be devoured immediately. It's delicious, and Happy New Year. Let me show you, actually, I was given the hint by my son to show you the texture. I have a tiny one here just for me to cut it, because all those, the ones that I have baked, I'm gonna be gifting out to my friends and my neighbors. But I would like to show you this tiny one, which you know how it looks from the inside, and the texture. It's bready. It has you know, the air in the dough, and it smells absolutely delicious, and it tastes delicious. And here is the coin, which we didn't do it the traditional way. We didn't cut it pieces to all the family since it's the baby one, but I still wanted to show you how the coin looks inside, and whoever gets that piece with the coin is the one who's going to be the happiest this year. Happy 2021. Be healthy, be safe.